Let's be honest, small talk can be so terrifying if you're an introvert. Like personally for me, talking to a person one-on-one for something that's not work or school related is probably the most anxiety-inducing situation for me. Over the past 5-10 years, I've kind of gotten better at it. So in this video, I'm going to show you the tips that I picked up on to make small talk less terrifying. But that being said, I still find it super challenging to strike up a conversation with someone new. And I think for me personally, having a one-on-one conversation with someone that's not related to work or school is probably the most anxiety-inducing situation for me. And to make it easier to strike up a meaningful conversation with someone new or to catch up with someone that you haven't seen in a long time, here are some tips that help me as a shy, introverted, awkward person. The first tip is to skip small talk. Like when we meet someone new or we're catching up with someone, our first question is that we're like, oh, hi, how are you? How's life been? How's school going? And honestly, for me, all these questions are super basic and generic. It just evokes a generic response and it gets super awkward after that. So instead of having meaningless small talk, what I like to do is find some common ground that you can both talk about to keep the conversation going. Like say you're sitting in a classroom for a specific course, talk about the teacher or the professor, talk about the course itself, talk about the university or the school, because both of you can contribute to that conversation and that can keep the conversation going and make sure that the conversation is meaningful. The sooner you can find this common ground in a conversation, the more easier it is for you to keep the conversation going. My second tip is in these situations where you're catching up with someone that you haven't seen in a long time or you're meeting someone new, is not make the conversation feel like an interrogation. I've been in so many situations where people just ask me questions like, okay, what do you do? Okay, what's your goal? Or where do you want to work? Or where are you working? Why are you doing this position? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And it honestly just feels like they're just asking so many different questions. Personally, I think I've done this many times myself. I just want to keep the conversation going. So I'm just asking random questions so it doesn't get awkward silence. But I think that actually kind of kills the conversation and kind of makes the conversation meaningless. I think one of the reasons why we do this is because when we're in the conversation, we don't really listen to what the other person's saying. We just keep focusing on what to say next, so that way we don't feel awkward, right? But instead, what you want to do is instead of thinking about what you're going to say next, actually try to listen to what the other person's saying, right? Listen to what they're trying to say, listen to what they're talking about, and give a thoughtful response regarding the content that they brought up into the conversation. If you do that, they'll feel like they're being heard. You're actually leading the conversation in more and more direction that the other person wants. And this will make sure the conversation is more meaningful, engaging, and doesn't get awkward. If you do this, the other person will enjoy talking to you, and at the same time, you don't have to feel awkward because you don't have to always keep worrying about what to say next. In my personal opinion, the concepts I talked about in this video kind of fit in this larger picture of how to be a confident communicator. And if you're a person who struggles to communicate confidently, maybe you're an introvert, maybe you're just socially awkward and get anxious all the time, then what I want you to do is scroll down to the comments. And in my pinned comment, you're going to see a link that's going to take you to an in-depth video about how to confidently communicate and overcome the emotions and the internal barriers you face in social settings. I promise you that video is going to be so useful for you. I spent a lot of time on it, so make sure to check that out. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.